Welcome back. We are continuing our study of combined axial and flexure, and this time we are shifting the axial component from tension to compression. In the previous example, we had a member that was being pulled, carrying tensile force alongside bending. This time, it is being pushed. The member carries a compressive axial load while simultaneously bending due to transverse loads along its span. This type of member is what we commonly call a beam column, and it is one of the most frequently encountered combined stress problems in steel design. The approach is still the same. We use the AISC interaction equations from Chapter H, but there is a key difference in this example compared to the last one. We are switching design methods. Instead of LRFD, we will use ASD, the Allowable Stress Design approach, for the entire solution. With that said, let's see the sample problem. Here, we are given a beam subjected to an additional compressive force, and we need to determine if it is safe under combined stress. We will use ASD for this one. The member spans 22 meters. The axial dead load is 120 kilonewton, and the axial live load is 50 kilonewton. On top of that, it carries a superimposed dead load of 0.52 kilonewton per meter along its length, and a live load of 1.5 kilonewton per meter. There is also additional bracing provided at the midpoint of the beam for both torsion and weak axis bending. The section is a W14 by 90, made from a 572 grade 65 steel. Now, to perform the interaction check, we need two things: the available axial strength of the member under compression and the available flexural strength. Let's tackle axial capacity first. For a W14 by 90, the key section properties are: cross-sectional area A is equal to 17,100 square millimeters, strong axis radius of gyration Rx is 156 millimeters, and weak axis radius of gyration Ri is 94 millimeters. The steel is A572 Grade 65, which gives us a yield strength Fy of 448 megapascals. To find the available compressive strength under ASD, we follow AISC Chapter E. The process starts with the slenderness ratio, KL/R, which tells us how susceptible the column is to buckling. A higher slenderness ratio means the member is more likely to buckle elastically rather than yield first. One thing worth noting here: the problem does not specify the direction of bending, meaning there is no indication of which axis the transverse loads are bending the member about. We will assume strong axis bending, which is the typical default for this type of loading. Now, the member has different unbraced lengths for each axis. For the strong axis, there is no intermediate lateral bracing, so the full span of 22 meters applies. For the weak axis, recall that there is bracing at the midpoint, so the effective unbraced length for the weak axis is half the span, which is 11 meters. We compute both slenderness ratios. For the strong axis, KLx/Rx is equal to 1.0 times 22,000 divided by 156, which gives 141.0. For the weak axis, KLy/Ry is equal to 1.0 times 11,000 divided by 94, which gives 117.0. The strong axis governs with a slenderness ratio of 141.0. That is the critical value we carry forward. With the governing slenderness ratio of 141.026, we can now work toward the critical stress FCR. The first step is to compute two reference values that tell us which buckling regime applies. The limiting slenderness is 4.71 times the square root of E/Fy. That is 4.71 times the square root of 200,000 over 448, which gives 99.517. Then, the elastic buckling stress Fe is pi squared times E, divided by the quantity KL/R squared. That is pi squared times 200,000, divided by 141.026 squared, giving us 99.250 megapascals. Now we compare. Our governing slenderness ratio is 141.026, and the limiting value is 99.517. Since 141 is greater than 99.5, the member falls in the elastic buckling range. It buckles before it can yield. With that said, for elastic buckling, FCR is equal to 0.877 times FE. That is 0.877 times 99.250, which gives us 87.05 megapascals. With FCR known, the nominal compressive strength Pn is FCR times Ag, 87.05 times 17,100, giving 1,488.6 kilonewton. Next, we'll deal with flexure. Now for the flexural capacity. We check three limit states: flange local buckling, web local buckling, and lateral torsional buckling, and take the lowest. Starting with flange local buckling, the flange slenderness lambda f is Bf over 2Tf, 368 divided by 2 times 18, giving 10.2. The compact limit lambda Pf is 0.38 times the square root of E over Fy, which gives 8.029. The non-compact limit lambda Rf is 1.0 times the same square root, giving 21.129. Since lambda f of 10.2 falls between those two limits, the flange is non-compact. The plastic moment MP is Fy times Zx, 448 times 2,570,000, giving 1,151.4 kilonewton-meter. The reference moment Mr is 0.7 Fy times Sx, 0.7 times 448 times 2,340,000, giving 733.8 kilonewton-meter. Using the linear interpolation formula, Mn from flange local buckling equals Mp minus the quantity Mp minus Mr multiplied by lambda f minus lambda Pf over lambda Rf minus lambda Pf. Substituting, that gives 1,081.5 kilonewton-meter. Next, web local buckling. The web slenderness lambda W is D minus 2Tf, all over Tw, 356 minus 2 times 18, divided by 11.2, giving 28.571. The compact limit lambda Pw is 3.76 times the square root of E over Fy, which gives 79.445. Since lambda W of 28.571 is less than the compact limit of 79.445, the web is compact. For a compact web, the nominal moment is simply MP, 1,151.4 kilonewton-meter. Web local buckling does not govern. Now for lateral torsional buckling, we need the unbraced length LB, the limiting lengths LP and LR, and two intermediate terms we will call A and B. LB is the distance between bracing points. With the midpoint brace, LB is 11,000 millimeters. LP is 1.76 times Ry times the square root of E over Fy, 1.76 times 94 times 21.129, giving 3,496 millimeters. For LR, we first compute two terms. The first term, A, is E over 0.7 of Fy, which is equal to 637.8. Term B is SXH0 over JC. Note that C is 1 for wide flanged beams, so the answer here is 468. With A and B in hand, we can now compute LR, which turns out to be 10,617 millimeters. Now we compare. LB is 11,000 millimeters, and LR is 10,617 millimeters. Since LB is greater than LR, the member is in the elastic lateral torsional buckling range, for the moment gradient factor CB. Because the loading is a uniform distributed load, and the brace is at the midpoint, the moment diagram over the unbraced segment is parabolic. This gives CB equal to 1.30. With CB known, the elastic L, TB, critical stress, FCR is CB times pi squared times E, divided by the quantity LB over RTS squared times the square root of 1 plus 0.078 times A times the quantity LB over RTS squared. LB over RTS is 105.77. Substituting FCR equals 388.2 megapascals. The critical moment MCR is FCR times SX, 388.2 times 2,340,000, giving 908.3 kilonewton-meter. We assign this as MN from lateral torsional buckling. To confirm it is valid, we check that MN does not exceed MP. 908.3 is less than 1,151.4, so the result stands. Now we check using the interaction equation. First, the required axial strength PR is the sum of the dead and live axial loads, 120 plus 50, giving 170 kilonewton. The available axial strength PC is 891.4 kilonewton, as computed earlier. The ratio PR over PC is 170 divided by 891.4, which gives 0.1907. Since that is less than 0.20, we use equation H1-1b from AISC Chapter H. For the flexural side, the required moment MR is the maximum service moment from the distributed loads. Total service load of 3.334 kilonewton per meter times 22 squared over 8, giving 201.7 kilonewton-meter. The available flexural strength MC is the governing MN from lateral torsional buckling divided by omega B of 1.67. That is 908.3 divided by 1.67, giving 543.9 kilonewton-meter. Applying equation H1-1b, PR over 2PC plus MR over MC. The first term is 170 over 2 times 891.4, which is 0.0954. The second term is 201.7 over 543.9, which is 0.3710. Adding them, 0.0954 plus 0.3710 gives 0.4664, well below 1.0. The W14 by 90 is safe under the combined compression and bending demands. And that wraps up this example. We worked through a beam column under combined axial compression and bending, using the ASD approach from start to finish, computing the axial capacity through column buckling, evaluating 3 flexural limit states, and finally checking the interaction equation to confirm the section is adequate. Notice how the interaction ratio of 0.47 gives us a comfortable margin. The member is only using about half of its combined capacity, which tells us the W14 by 90 is a reasonable but not over-designed choice for this loading. In the next module, we will continue building on these ideas. Until then, keep practicing the process. Axial capacity, flexural capacity, interaction check, and it will become second nature. See you in the next one.